So tiring so traveling la. That as reason. Namaste, Trashi Dili.
Namaste, Tashidele, Tashidele.
So yeah, Tani. Some good Jaro.
Yeah, we start.
Tani Katang Zendrat Talug and Tungama, the key Chinese Lotsetana Tawala, which is it. Tani Dinal, Katanga to such a melong Tavrum, the Tinkorkanani, Mandavanda, which is on the dish share. Nithaning also to actually Jaro.
So for this part of the year, we are coming to the end of this topic, as it were. And Geshe La has been teaching on the dissolution of the different elements in our last class already. And today he would like to touch on the same topic, but from the way of how it is explained in the Kalachakra Tantra. Are you hearing clearly? Because there's some construction noise in the background. Is it okay, the sound?
Yes.
We hear you well, dear.
If you
Thank
can
you.
tell me which page.
Oh, all right. Again, I only I have this e-version. It's and the ebook is 267, but the heading is the stages of dissolution of mind and wind, and those of death and dying. That's the headline. The stages of dissolution of mind and wind, and those of death and dying. And it's is in part 3. The part 4 starts with the mind and its object. It's just towards the end of that chapter before, or part 3. Towards the end of part 3.
Okay.
Did you? Yeah.
Patrick, huh?
Yes. Tini, you to Tawanda on the Dinan Trinidad, so Tini, the Shing up at the Langer Chocolate.
Yeah. But if anybody online has questions, please feel free, Geshe La says, to write it in the chat.
Also, Tini, Takatsangato, such a touch me, Tame, Londa, Long, Tini Muki, Nawala Mataya, Deshivari, Tatil, Tinko. Teach partaking Colosea, Tinal Mandavachi, raising the Ketan, Nagla, Tanti, Jean Dramanda Mombo, Yorita, Jean Manchester, Chipachikari, Kasanga Sushiana, Chikbari, in our Hopper, the teaching Coloseati, Nakanani, Mandava, Cabracha Shuchi, Sigiori, Nabi, Constant Chocatina, Tingo Wanchins, in his own day at the day, partaking Coluti, Kesha, in his own day, Roti, Dinan in the Mandavachi, and Juaya.
So what we have covered last time was the dissolution of these various elements of the body. It's still talking about the death process on the various subtleties of the mind. And Geshe La explained that the first element of the body is the earth element that dissolves, and that dissolves into the water element, and the water dissolves into the fire element, and then into the wind element. And then Geshe La also spoke about these 80 conceptions, and then these different appearances that appear to the person's mind that is dying. So that's usually the general presentation, the way it is explained. But here now today in the text, we are at, it's from the perspective of the Kalachakra Tantra, and that has a particular way of explaining this.
Last Tini, you don't know the time me want the Chinese Deliori Mungata, Nakadar mean Rawama, Tandro, Talhandra, and Jamba Yomar, Tandian, she on the meeting come presidential meeting my Shivi Kabla, Kazanga Tombo Shivi Kabla, current of the Sat of Karela or the Nikablatishemando, Tombo Toya, the Chitoverisha, Chatham Droat, no Mareki, Tombo Metum Droatrisha, made Trotty and Droat, Carres and a Chunkam Gomekam Yamber Chesity, Tombo. Chunkam, John and our chewing come, main come the Mepazoni, Tombo make up them do reland.
Chukam latene make
Chukam go make Mepazo Jacarella.
So when we are talking about these things of the dissolution of the elements, it's always in connection with the death process of a human being. It's not it's not talking about the way that animals pass away or other beings in other realms. So it's specifically about the human beings. And so here in this in the text that explains it from the Kalachakra Tantra perspective, it starts with explaining that the first element that's dissolved is the fire element, which is kind of extinguished by the water element. But yeah, so
Menkam Tamdu.
Yeah.
Menkam go Jilion jo Chinkam go Sankam Yamberchin, Nipa Sankam Tamgare Lasha.
Ali di yang chugam la.
Meta Chinitas Marco Re Meta Sani the Chu Mepazo Jacare Lasha.
Yeah. And then the next one, as the first is the fire element that gets extinguished by the water element. And then the second one is the earth element, which also says here it is subsumed into the water element and vanishes.
Sontatani, Sambal Jenny Chinkam Jacando, Chinkam Nyam Joya the Karga Kingris, Longkam Chinkam Cambozo Jacarela.
And then the next element that dissolves is the water element, and that's due to the wind element kind of drying it up.
Oh, this Sonta. Ta tamatal longkam to sondi katsanga so sach me longe harita tiri te mai me sa chu lonze ni mandrawa te shandu ta te mandrawa jati buki ta sharton to sai ta sharton to so ya mandrawa le ungro te nga so tom ta mugeta to so ya parche lokayo sarite shemandu
Nisa Schulung. Okay, so whereas according to the previous explanation that we covered earlier on, he said that the order is the earth, water, fire, and then wind element that dissolve. And here it is in a different order. Here it is the fire element at first, then comes the earth element, the water element, and then finally the wind element. And so, because the order of these elements is different, also the appearances to the person's mind that is passing away is also different. These appearances are different.
Authenticity wall tamram to parche wall matching namche to so was at so chonto chibando shako sare sangutu.
Kaza wuse.
No one chepa.
Allez,
Near to water geora.
no one chepa wuse.
Oh, teja chipando iser.
Allez, di chipare.
Oh, no matter tomato.
Oh, okay. So, but Geshe says these, they have these names of...
Tombo gay or tombo jeg, tombo jet mandarin, tamajat yon chipainser.
Gay carere.
Tombo gay or such a melon.
Allez,
Tigal, non chepa near to water sheet, a gear out of gets a grana. Tamajat chipaiser.
So, but then what happens is after these elements dissolve, then these appearances... Nangwa Yeshe.
No, Chepishi.
Yeah.
Water.
They have these, they're either called luminous appearance or the mind of white appearance, which is the same, is followed by the luminous radiance or the mind of red increase, and then the luminous imminence or the mind of black near attainment and whistle, and the clear light. So these four appear, as it were, in the same order as in the other explanation as well.
Tani drawchigre tani kitani tunkurtal yantmo mindbi napi yontrachigla njali go poanjali zeyat njali chimbo go nyamlende tingor nani yongundu mato gede janga nani yongumandu njali na
lene dia nyamlen topo ge
nyam mar ko tingor ko nyamlen bachigla poanjali yongu yore mato jamba pena sawandi pata jikche tani nyamle chenkela poanjali zeya kechati yoma
ine inchiminchi yong yomaro
Tingor nyamlim bai nangoni sama chamre thona yang yimbar
ngayang di nyamle chipai nan jalu
enjalio tingo onche de yong tingo nyamle tingo onche ko
mare di dingo onche chipai. So Geshe says that in connection with the practice of the Kalachakra Tantra, it is said that people who are practicing this version of the tantric teachings, they would achieve the so-called rainbow body after they pass away, which is not the case when practitioners practice other forms of Tantra. It is said specifically in the context of Kalachakra that towards the after they pass away, they pass away into the, or they leave behind. They leave behind or they pass away into this so-called rainbow body.
And jelly. Koro tarniet jimbo boti zena mazena monton chandori. That's mi pawach kituni monton.
And what that means is, I was checking in what that means, rainbow body, is that when a person passes away into the rainbow body, they leave nothing behind.
Penangando chigrawa. Tanga tingor kenyamlim bandau china tingor kenyamli ya tombo le on di parshi ko Juli zame ze achi tobion ayori. Juli zame to tobi kabla nyamli ngstop chi dewa chembo che ze achi nde ayori. Dechin. Dewa chembo ni kam jupi top chi go ngi zukpo tsama tanda tamal we zukondi shata ka zukpo tsama zame ko pombo ngol pa jur jakre.
Gulu.
Jurata, Julu Zamel Girja, Dandatani, Pombo the Tamali Pomboro, Pali Tombo the Change Zamel. Pet and the Digital, not so Saint Jurkis, Chafserli Gurzet Conoi.
The Tambo the Gulu top, and the Deva Chembo top?
Gili Matovinil, Gili Tobiondi, Giliziat, Sondi Pat the Soichina, Giliziat, and so Lili Lokachi Jaguar.
Yeah.
Okay,
so what Geshe says is that again, particularly in the in connection with the practice of the Kalachakra Tantra, is that I guess you have to be at a certain high level to be able to do this. That a person, the Lhamo kapsura.
Lhamo kishamar mi jamba tana Lhamo rochin tungo yorema ko shigo mar koro ya yar indoshar shika kachamari.
So once the practitioner is at a very high level, for the outside, for an outstanding outsider, it might seem that the person is passing away, but it's not the case. The person is able to transform their ordinary body that we are having. They are able to transform that into an illusory body.
Peta tendici jaur ngaso gobol genre chig nal tendici sheor ngaso zechik the charles chig tijati cha sama ser chanro res sen just zina te na je tanda dewa chimbo topki ngaso zpo sama zamel pa gyurja kareze wo
dewa chimbo topki. It's like I think I guess I'm saying relating this to the example of like an alchemist who uses or transforms a piece of iron with some substance, and then the whole piece of iron turns into gold, for example. And so here, likewise, due to Dewa Chembo, great bliss, due to a high level of practice, they, the practitioner experiences a great sense of great bliss, by means of which the ordinary body, like the type we are having, transforms into illusory body.
Tikare mi jangtana shwanro chin tongo yori shwanro tonga kare kasanga so yang shede imba tsa ominal sondi nagolu chendro la imba nyawlimbat teke gomjani deo de bar tsa ominal doni nagoni chendro go chendro ti tanga so mi chikitana ko tronson sa sandro chi gomjani deo re ta tronsan sare sa sandro chin tongo ta tinkon ro chi na marius Sound depend that so knowledge in a three wood chair and watch any gearing bush with the anio, Sirley Yungor. In our Tinker Litany, not on Toya Lamb Parcheo Mari.
And they can't
no, not going to which any time that you're son, the Tingas on Tom to a chandler.
In the cons young long
concert any day, and then got the petty wingang,
and then Matonga Charlie. Okay, so if say, going back again to the other explanation, say according to the Goya Samaja Tantra, if someone is at a high level and they practice and they're able to basically stop, make the airflow stop, stop the airflow in the right and left channels, but make the air move into the central channel, then and then they stop breathing. And for the outside person, it may seem that the person is dead, but they nevertheless are able to continue their practice, But here, then coming back to the Kalachakra Tantra, they, practitioner at that high level, they do the same kind of practices where the airflow is not in the right and left channel anymore, but enters the central channel. They stop breathing, but then apparently something happens which makes the body transform and then make them so invisible, as it were.
Majaba Monton. Tako Zamek mo Jirge Tama Monton Chandores. Inayo Tako monton cha son yimba tak shiuji tel tuen yores karzeti stayo stata semoni zayon to ala de ngaso ton sal zayon karzeti tanda nyavle de to stata semot to zame ko gerto yo mares zupo zame ngo gerzonde semoton stata to ala ni zupo choni monton chani pena ni san zgol tan chendro chingologic de na paristata semot ma to chikame ya chandro dus a jamba so yore vezina yore tan so tom me zame ko ndo sa so tamalbi wanshi jeto yo mares shia ta shor counter Janze Chesho Tata Semot Hadi origin Chikaman Chandro.
Ja, die Saktire, an die Gülü, sagt mir.
Das so sagt sie San Samezota. Da so Mato Tata Semot, dann Yamlin die Toki Samel Zoto, so Mato Hadi Ores, Ote.
And he sagt mir die Lü Tonyo Yumari. Okay, so they a practitioner at a high level of this Kalachakra Tantra, they are or they may be able to again transform our ordinary body, which is referred to as a contaminated body. They're able to transform that into an uncontaminated body, which is then not visible anymore to the outsider. But what is particular here, what cannot be transformed is one's hair and one's nails. So if one practitioner, is able to do that, they kind of become invisible by transforming their ordinary into an uncontaminated body. But what they leave behind is still their hair and the nails, which cannot be transformed.
Trata se mot in Lando jamba pombo kanga la sonzeni di choncha se ma trata se mot consa cholia pion o di chonsa sonzeni te musion tende yoseri.
There must have been a case like around 10 or 15 years back in Tibet that someone had passed away this way and left behind their hair and nails, and there were apparently people coming to present this, as it were, to His Holiness. So there actually has something like this actually seemed to have happened back like 10-15 years ago.
Lemagoni te gomjani te to atria yore zerendutate takin kasakini so shia ta wominal jiwati cetera ngoni nyavlen terleto na sa wominal de sa tinga so na je chalol bu choni tam ko atria yore zerendu ngom serche mombo shia andutat la lengoni cetona mutona agomara takashi toni chonshinge mate.
For us to achieve these things is quite difficult, right? But it seemed to be the cases that, also going back to what Geshe mentioned before, that people at a high level, they practice and they're able to work with these channels and these winds and these energies in the body, up to the point where they stop breathing, but are not dead, but just the air or the wind has entered the central channel and so forth. But for us, it's a bit difficult to do this.
What associated Yashon Roy, Yesaro sang the Nekable Zenda, Ajima, Yamli Chitona Kasumga, Magumja, Rambat, Yan Lo Jonji Chitinichina Mato, Jambeyan down, and Jichit so Gomtan Chingama, so short shit, that is a couple is a Katsan, Digneman and Janan Shua Najan, Chichini Gomjamna, this day I was at Rosams.
And you see what I jumping Yankee?
Tombo Katsan Gomjam on the Mukanik Semper, that the Tomba Gomiatel. Chukalam Kelagri. Chukagomar.
Chukulam.
Digilan jiche gnyalen ba chin jambe yang ko yore tel lonkar ti jil jiche ko kom dong bo chamba te ko yore ti chakare te ngema nga son zala te ma shi jure ke ji kyo yi samari
dengi mi do
ta te shi shi
chasan dengi mi do tambo kazang tumo kola ke che sibi kapsu chuko lam du kier
mare ta omi na ndu ne niksem gonde kerni ta niksem go tomba ni go me chi yo
yeah
o te chuko nyamlen te
chuko lam kier also the practice that Geshe La had explained in our last class, where it was about, the primordial mind, and about kasi tompa niyang.
Kandi ngang ganzan dati knowledge our jima kyo so yak poko me na YouTube na ta tara kwar.
Yeah. So, but this has to do with the practice of making use of the taking the Dharmakaya onto the path. And then Chimba, jump here.
Ni nema shi a parche indrup te girim bikawen. Digilen long kan jambe yang ko ta tra.
This kind of jump young. So then there was I think there was another translator who was translated these classes where Geshe La went into some form of practice of meditating on Manjushri. And then that has to kase longku.
Long kan jambe yang da tra kunji.
Which had to do with making use of the longku, the Sambhogakaya, or taking the Sambhogakaya onto the path, and then Tamatama?
Tarsam derish, custom
land. Yeah, di lapsai, di longku?
Churku dojin jikchi.
And then there was some Yamataka practice he explained, which was about then taking the Nyamanakaya, or the emanation body, onto the path.
Chesa Kasantel Chuk Tombo Tamang Sheo Marte, Tesam Depo and Rawa Yosari, Tejima, Tama, Parmiana, and the Lojon Rawachin, the so Jambe and Danjichi, the so that Tama, Kazukandan, the Tama, Sharia Chimena, Gongona Kapoyri, on the Kasan Shea, the Yapoyos, the Nil Shea, the Yapoyos, Tini Mango Chikon.
So, but as these, these say deity practice of Manjushri or Yamataka, there's a lot of visualization in connection with that, and maybe difficult for now. That's why Geshe La thinks the practice that he explained last time is probably good to start with.
What the need of Chigretani? I've just got getting as a Kasakan Zupo de Tanchi Juyemba in Ayatati. You part the go resin and thing per Guayo Summer and the Rindochi, the Tinilap and the Jamata and the Ritani move Cheni Manian and move some Nidena, the Nichena and Manduayo Samari.
So what the meditation posture is concerned, I mean, one does not necessarily have to be sitting cross-legged. One can just as well sit like this on a chair, and then the hands can be in that meditation posture like this, folded, but they can just be likewise, comfortably on the knees, and then the eyes can be, slightly open, but it's not wrong to keep them closed or wider open. That's not, no.
Karcherizi Nangaso Malam Nal Gomjata Shezara, Malam Nal Gomda Menini de Oremato, the potential Yomari. Sonza Soso was the potent dea at the Debonda, which you need in the shades and the instruments in the check for your summer.
What is most important to have a comfortable position, we feel comfortable in. And as there are also meditation practices that are being done during sleep time. And there's no, I mean, we're lying down then usually, right? Not sitting up.
What did you say? So, Gomja Kapsi, and you mentioned Mubat, Tombo Chick Jean de Seshagen, Muba Mambo Sinita, Terin the Richik Samlota Sani, Penangaso, Wakitile Gomba, Tejan, the Nimatapa, Tejan Gomjami, so Nipan Tonita, Karchichin, the Chimaso, but Tejan Sablotani Gomshomat, Terin the Wall Wakitile Posani, the Mondra, Megtilendo, Potentiama Gomnaso. Piu Jargoni Pamni, she thought as a logi to conoi.
Piu.
Piu Jargoni Mahleris, Mukishin Toshirati to the Kindro, the Passion on the Yanshin Toshirat, that you need the Kindro, Yan Passion to my last Riponchi Tigris, Tashin to the Mai in Japon Teres. Ni Japon Leon Marishin at Samazas. Tina Jamupat Somambo Jepola, then I have Marin to mention, so Nipa Yapochumato, but the Mupachi Jean Le Comgiat the yard. Peter Cosman.
Pierre, Mama, Dogi,
Shinto Chigra, the Kindred, my Shinto Chigra, the Kindred, the Jambachira, Tamayu.
But what is good and important to do when we do meditation is to choose one object and then stick with it. Not having, one particular object, say this white light that Geshe talked about, today, meditating on this, and then next day we meditate on, on the spot, the navel area, and then choose yet another object. So, we can choose whatever object we want, but then stay with it. It's otherwise it would be like a monkey, running down the hill, running after food, and then getting hold of some fruit, holding it for a minute, and then seeing some other fruit elsewhere, and then letting go of that, catching the other one, and so on and so on. So it's good to really stay with one's object that one has chosen.
ndel me gom samna tomboni te chamba gom yana wo gom samna te chamba gom ni ta katin ta kol tel myon ji thoni parish so sol rawan ji to ayore ti kam ne tani che bolon nan ke gom yak po chan rawan ji to wona.
Yeah, so one can choose, whether one meditates on the spot here on the navel area, and then stay with it. But if one's meditation goes fairly well, then one can also change. There's one question here online. The dissolving process from earth element to the primordial mind, then until everything turns or reverses, I guess, and starts from the beginning. This is in meditation. But what is the real moment or time, or more broadly, the mechanism of this movement or transfer to a new organism into womb, in which everything begins? It goes on. Is it a longer time, or is there a bardo stage? What happens in the mind from final dead moment, primordial mind, to new body, to new embryo? Apparently, this mind sees the new parents in union and decide to enter to womb. So there is long time for mind to start this reverse process.
49 days.
This Ringudu. So I try to put it somehow into Tibetan. Conseguido Sena. Sagamne nyugme sembado rimki timgiro ani deni yanke gorem gugere
sel mukeni semni yanjo ligdo
di gom gyap gom kapsure this guy deni and then I'm making mel the kadu jugu sare
alena shumal te jiktand
reading sare the zu ringbudu yamena di bardo yang yumarwe
bardo yore ka te
ani what happens in the mind from front ani mi shi kalamun gutsungne nyumesem yebe kapsu ani zuksapa de ame hingel nangla yang semsi semba gutsero ani sendi susu pama mampaki pama nyamdu tongyoro tene
nyansa ja kadikal res jawa so
du rimbo
ta laso take ngaso te kasaki ni jupcha chi mashire ngaso min de shwa tan taro ligdoko namche takso yahle onra no namche takso ze kimera tan chepa tan marinier to tan chepa tas nawa tan tini kato ja chi yahle on tombota ta ti paru pado yoyo pare pardo chok tombo le at pardo go
tambo gorem nang
man the shiviti jil tamche nasam do pardo go tamche nasam chakar yim bari gacha jare amar lre ayo amare pardo at chum
kasa tamuni pasumba shiba vese badu tene
wazen yandro gora yandro at kitchwa tere do dok chwa pardo tere tagaran choron la na pardo go tamche nasam remato tanda pu maungar le choni leo ma
And then Bado Lepdu.
Pado lita katik chumdro atamato pama draw da tani chaka tum gwani o ti chumdro res ti kap kanon tumche nasam de jagores
Alle die Bado Cups. Okay. So Geshe says that, we talked about these dissolutions of the elements, earth, water, fire, wind, and so forth, and then these 80 conceptions that appear, and then these appearances, the mind of white appearance, mind of red increase, mind of black near attainment, and then finally the clear light. And then once, then we said, like you also wrote in your message, that this reverse process starts in the reverse order, and that's when the person is died and is dead from the Buddhist perspective, and that's the moment where all of a sudden, the being is in the bardo state, and then bardo nanglola nyertopchi so this reverse process starts with the mind of black near attainment, mind of red increase, mind of white appearance, the 80 conceptions, and so on. That all happens in the bardo. So this is not yet the time that the consciousness enters the womb of the mother.
Only bardo vatel yerin ton kare yoreziti ta bardo setsin ro te japo den rela
So it is said that the bardo being is usually alive, if you want, up to 7 days.
Kati tradition ronita or equivalence arana tandrolikina malakina yatalkina kawakina kokivalin in rojakres.
And then once this bardo being passes away after these 7 days, 7 days or Duntak tomorrow. Duntak, yeah. So after 7 days or 1 week, then it usually takes rebirth either as another human being or an animal or whatever, another being. Yeah. But it may just as well happen that the bardo being does not find a new body yet, and then it again becomes a bardo being. And this happens maximum up to 7 times up to 49 days.
Kiwale matoya karang malakina rital kaina kiwale matoya anjo pato se yo mares in intelligent then jongona share na share maton doachi omara.
So and this is the way it is explained in the text. So after 49 days, latest at that time, this bardo being will be reborn in any of the other states, but it will not be reborn as another bardo being again. So it will definitely take rebirth maximum after 49 days.
Ani tendi yondita pardovachi shendroti tani pena malikin kena tani jini maungar le nyansa bia okurete maunga kesa marawat ko chakin tata chi tsangora pama kacham jiviti ka tata le ki gore mato ko shawata ti ka tata makina ngal nyansa bia sara ko mari sonta tendi jamara ka kor ka biosa tam malikin ke so inate tata ti sokoroteni pami kacham jewata taran le Nashim ngal nyansa bjandro gore mugati jil maretni tara maungal chandro gore nashit etachi teto
ata tunken yapo kasango
pardo ata shawata pami katandrewa gati so tata chin chesona hotel pama chandro gore tinal nyansa bjandro gore.
So so what happens then after 49 days, say the being is born then as a human, and then the moment of the death of that bardo being goes together or happens at the same time that this consciousness of that bardo being enters the womb or the sperm and egg of the future parents.
Tani amingarle dunjiri njawa kar ndorezenite yonsa ngoni shesa the gaw ngarji kan dozen in doji yorese ndu tinana she yorese ndu ngi laron chembonal mata shendu chin tonson da tajib chatan da tengumundu tengema konsan choko ko chirger le pepe kapchig le chirger member chig ko le tinji ngarlin jik ton ko le kecha sonze ketina lindo nani chima chijinde pa ko member tal chi chinda member ta sonze sanji shaketa basata na lo ni ton nga byang ni tser pa chi yin ta choreze ti go ngartin jik ba dan cha je ngwan rotan de teson tser pa ta shun sendula member ti la.
So and the given party so and then there's also a whole lot of explanations in the text about the development of that being in the womb. And so it turns out that, that, and this is what His Holiness shared in the past, that he had a discussion once with scientists about, this process of the embryo in the womb. And in the scientists, he said that, the Buddha in 2004 or 500 years ago, what he explained is pretty much in line with what, the scientists also explain how, the embryo develops in the womb. I think that's hopefully answering that question. If there are other...
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's actually, my question was exactly because there is very clearly in samsara, we have this time and space. And there is if body is dead, according to Tibetan, so there is in space and time some kind of movement of ejection, physical ejection of mind, primordial mind, to the body. It is right. This mechanism is interesting for me. This space-time from the last moment where is the primordial mind to then is physical and how it moves to physical to Bardo. A sub-question is, it must be Bardo or not necessary? Or this movement can be immediately without Bardo to the new womb. That's the...
Ditsudang Namka space. Die Kola Yam Kisha Senripa. Ditsudang Batong Yure. Ani Konki da Nukmesem, die Kola Mixiki Tona Yure. Nukmesem Michigan de la Dene. Nukmesem Kandes. C'est chima la dogre, quand c'est dans bainam. Samsam inchiminchi badola dogre, inchiminchi badola katuk. C'est what chima badola yang do sigrebe.
No te pardo.
Ditsu dans banam.
Pardo mesa te stigma to shemando. Pardo mesa stigshi shanga so nema zagam ngel chediti. Zinkam da zingme ziachiwa. Zingme la kenke yena kande kewa ti wazin do shinro wa taran de tibaru titso chiga. Tibaru titso mela war. Sanda thomen ziaga sanda thomen zidi dayan to sonen da mari. Ti tenil titso nyamboro wa. Ti chik de shawa da phajo kewa ni tibaru titso tonsha hakmares. Ina yo zingme ma to pa samal pardo yorila.
So Geshe says what the transference into a Bardo state is concerned, except for the beings in the formless realm. All beings that are going to be reborn into the formless realm. They don't need to go through Bardo. That happens immediately. One person dies and immediately gets reborn as a being in the formless realm. But all the other beings, they have to go through the Bardo.
Okay. Te kotrawat pe choa nenga chimbore shate nabgir nak korlte shooting du tan nikani nabshim puwa tagarand nabshi te chlo pandro gorawase nabshi te chlo to pandro goti jeni pardo lite ko lengore mato ko pombo nan le pardo chamdro ki ngi maras ne ma chonyeti tatani zeni tasi tang du te kali khapondu kantar puki jima kesa ta tan da shinye di parun tanyet pardo water so tanga to ninka ni long te tsar yonita ni sem da ni zupon intenda nyangi mashipiti levenon te tsingi choja tarati khatil pardo chamdro rezinan jigman rotani china tel parrimbo yo marwa titso yo marwa kasi temena titso yo gonje titso yo gona sandan manage lauti tiparu titso meanda o shior kotratia te tasi shu tangdoni azinkam tatsolia kenye yena tagrimbo rawase Titarimbo in the Namshi and Drogo, the Titsuchi Gocher was. Then it does it tango that it is Kalikapondu, drop the opposite.
Yeah, in the Taring do, Taring Casa,
She was in come like Yegona, then come down, don't come to the Tarimboro. Namshi Toya and Drogo race. Drogo's on the tip of the Titso go was, and this sound and Tomanage Chakomando was. Ani zinkam go mata zinkam go hat dopi kopa na chamjo revesi pardot jota pardot. But this one that it is Kalachakra.
Yeah, but it's a good question, Geshe says. But and there's a lot of debate. Some people would say, well, how's that? Formless realm is quite far away. How can that be? That one person dies now and immediately gets reborn, at a faraway place, or is that person dies and then immediately within their in their remaining aggregates get reborn into the body? But so it's a good question, but there's a lot of debate to it. Ani?
There's that. This pomboti also pombu nal. Kiwachama pardo the chares in and chicken do that teresha. The Joshing in Mandria Ionasas. Pardo the Nato Pombo which all chagoe and Nipachi or Maro. Inaya Karas in Iona, Geshe, now she just in Purese and wrote in the Yori. Now she just in Puguyona, teacher all ladies in Pardo and Niguanich. As a Ninkani now she punjo the Androni, Saumin on the just in Pundores, then the Shire. They own it in the Andro Goro. Tisochi Gora Tinilia, Katin Jona, Tisochi Gora, the Parutis, the Keshatri.
Yeah, so there's a lot of discussion. And sometimes it says that the consciousness enters from the heart, but then sometimes also it says the consciousness may exit from the crown of the head, but that would take some time. But Geshe thinks that it's not impossible for someone to achieve the bardo. Susu kokwa nanglola.
Kokwa nanglola.
Bardo la.
Ninkani send Zohata around the bardo achogo. That chogo na napshit such a general enjoy Titso Yomara. When you tinyamingo. Tikatu chandra, bardo at Ninkal Chandra in Roji Yoresi. What's on?
Yeah. Because
it is Kalachakra.
But but it's hard to say definitely. So how it is. But one might argue it would take some time for the consciousness to travel, as it were. So it's not impossible for for the person dying, as it were, and then immediately kind of getting reborn into the bardo state. Within the remaining aggregates.
So Polon the Achindo, me drawn the Chuchiachur. Chuchia, the Navshitani Kasunin Pundo, the Polon Yapon Penga, so Chapelingri. Chapelins in a Hakwa. Continue who in the Kajaju, Getchi down in the Lapam.
Yeah.
You can't chuchitoni that bed in Mitama Hakwa and Pakari. Chuchi Pandos. You can't chuchi thing. I already now she draws a rela and she go.
But there is apparently so people who are practicing the Poa practice, the transference of consciousness. It seems when they do the practice successfully, that there is an opening on the crown of the head appearing, and what they say is that the consciousness leaves, leads through there.
By this way.
Yes.
So that. But
it's a difficult question, so I can't really answer anything more. Sorry for that.
Thank you so much. But it's very interesting to know this formless state. If the short question is, these formless states, they are connected with pure lands like Tushita, etc., or not?
Zoek Gamgi mi sentient. Den dakshin dan there were your like Tushi Ganden Losapa, then there were your
garden yo.
Chitaki dakshin, Tushita nangshin, dakshin, right?
Tajin Kechas Mare, then Korean in Senin by in Lower.
Zenipa.
Koran Quaran, Tajimare. Tajimare Quarry.
Yeah. So they are not connected to pure lands, because even beings in the formless realm, they're still within samsara.
Ngatol tani koso gom shiu jamnita semo ya le sarso gom tina ngatsoli kyaton mombo ko gamare. Ngatsoli tse mombo ko kyacha ja ni ja samja ko sento sare zme 강사 또 조금 야야라
아니,
하장 센도 못 찾아요.
니가 숨겨. I just,
100% 거사리.
but it is said that beings in the formless realm, they seem to be absorbed in their serious
Like jhana.
meditation practice, and they can remain or can be alive for hundreds of years, 200-300 years.
तदिरे याना या खोसो कोआनी छेनि बाइ क्यों करजदि निमासि गोम तेसन छिना जो मांगा सोनाज केवालानि न्यावा त चलो मा केनि रोजा kai वरे जे वर गोम छु सोना
No.
गोम ले खोरो परिसि गोम न्याम डोगरे जे
But
ते tempo de to मारे
yeah, but obviously it's not a stable state. Eventually their meditation declines, or they can't maintain this practice, as it were, and then they again get reborn in lower states of samsara, even in the hell realms and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they are not connected.
No.
They are out. So, okay, because pure lands are out of samsara.
Yes. Dakshin korwale telola yoro. Korwa nanglola yomare.
다진 제야다 다진 아니야 식시임바 당가서 나지 기발린 사이는 거의 나로 차사리 이나 될 시소님도
Ganze kasa?
나다 교초 신이 기발린 톱사지나 다 교다지 나론도 미 타말와지 게 톱사지는 거의 나차 이나야 때 시소님도 가리 하고 문도 이나야 이 다지제 대야다 남경아서 대야 장가진 감제야 대야다 소도 단다디 무슨 가서 메가 계산을 요마래
Ja, this ngana sungan angsi tongpani ngan sung tu tok tani da chompa yingen de janshi sempa sakepa kapsu dakshin la kia len chora
pedi dingarli tar chanke ta tajili kiwa lengre ze achik ta yo dingarli mathar na tajili kiwa lengke yore ze ni chigore te karsi yopa ina koyan koan koyni chakor toji de le sangye jig de ti khail makia na jendre chi chan
Geshe says, for us ordinary beings, it's, ordinary beings, it's not really possible to take rebirth in a pure land. However, if one is, evolved in one's practice, and one is either a foe destroyer, like having really, high realizations, direct insight into emptiness, and, having achieved the state of a foe destroyer, or is a high level bodhisattva, eighth ground bodhisattva, so one, and if one that means one is free of afflictions, then one would be able to be reborn in any of these pure lands.
Okay, thank you. Which
ina jamba tanji koran shenke mombo ko son jongo no yang musin thomas on tanga so ki o tamalwa ki yore ze tanji shenye mombo du atani kande dene sangaro samne tanda da chomba ta chanjo sagya pa wa ki sa jire zena ko tajin ze atal ko ya chi ora ko dingar ka ta chai sa ni tajin ze de ore dingar yo sa nga so na je nyomo da tsoma yo nye chi ke de sa chi na jin kam de Yomong Dada Chadi or
Dakshin is the Tibetan word for pure land, and according to what his Geshe's opinion is, that one someone who's free of afflictions, pure of afflictions, or free from afflictions, such as a foe destroyer or a high level bodhisattva on the 8th ground, they are able to be reborn in a pure land. But ordinary beings. I guess like most of us, we are still afflicted, and but there might be.
We came back to samsara.
Although the Suzuki Woyang Dakshin La Kiwalani, the Pechanang Lola Yusare.
No, they Puchina Yusare.
But that's
Nin Thomas on the young. Suzuki Tajili Kirizia, the Pechanon Thomas on. Mary is a certain Thompson.
Mary.
Suzuki Wakia, your Mari Lava, the Nijon Thompson.
Okay.
Chicken Thomas or Shinikos.
I didn't in the text. Geshe says I didn't come across anything where it was written, written in the scriptures that ordinary beings could be reborn in pure lands. Although some people may say so, but I haven't. Geshe says I haven't come across it in the texts.
But definitively, this is out of samsara.
Yes, the pure lands. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Ani?
Any questions?
So, then what can we get from practicing the meditation? Geshe told us.
On the
The meditation is actually the process is the same like the process of death. And then, but when we practice that, or what can we get from practicing that?
So what can we get from practicing according what Geshe explained. Then kasa Geshe la ngasu gomtang lap yoro desi nang yoro shika la mukare kare jungye dame then ngasu ki then nang singom gya baina then keping kare do
tate te apondu ta ngaso te chgo anega ngoni ro de kare ko me shawa le yonder che yo mare kare sa omi na long de juk tu sona omi ne ko mashi pitule ki tanda nyumi sem da ngaso pecho tanto akoson pecho tanto chet ngaso nabje ki cho ma ja de na shivi ka ma to ko pecho yo mare shivi ka ma to ko pecho tanto ma ato mashi ngeni ngaso pecho tanto vichet teni saga nenga to solo gomja saga nenga to solo gomja ni ngoni sa omi na lu ten top sona ngaso na goni wi choni tamu goni kenyu mesem gonde cheni ti gan gom jamni tomba ni so gom ni japto tele chawa chukulam cherzini kolen chawa ze goya karreziti chawa tan rapo ndji yo kiti ingi gom ya tomba ni gom de gor sonsa te ngaso lo tanda sem rapat tele jamba te gom jamna hachan ni bachim bota nyomon be nyembon ro stop shi chimbo shu chakare ni ote she
it's I mean normally when we don't practice or we don't engage in these meditation practices, we can't make use of this most subtle mind. And as Geshe explained, normally for a non-practitioner, these things only happen in death, that the winds enter the central channel and then, this indestructible drop kind of opens up and then, there's this primordial mind that, or clear light that appears. So normally we that only happens at death. But when we engage in these meditation or in this meditation practice, where we learn to make the winds move into the central channel and then activate basically this, the primordial mind, and then it says this is the most subtle. The primordial mind or clear light mind is the most subtle form of mind there is. And that's supposed to be very, very powerful and very powerful to, to meditate on emptiness, and thereby also it make very powerful to eliminate the afflictions. So it's a way of kind of prepare. To meditate on an emptiness and to really have a powerful method to counteract all the afflictions.
Sonsa tanda ngaso tsagomina logic to maritan tel gom jamni kasen to chitini ngaso kasa tsagomina logic son no kalama charson sachela tamson chamela tamson tsoma tamson tani samni samlo to tande na dabon richinga so yandarche karsa tsendel jug mato na ngaso mus shikale ondi tagara na tele ond otan de samni gom jato tele on pento yo achik.
And we can train to meditate this way, and we can imagine at least, even if we can't do it properly, like in the real, really access this, primordial mind, but we can at least train our minds, kind of prepare our minds, and imagine going through these stages of dissolution, and that's really a helpful way and that's really helpful then when we actually going to die.
Tanda kablu gom jamni nga so no lolen the matom na tagazu no lo chikumar epsilon rogora chivi kapsanga so wi korongo leg top kitsenda yongor lo minandi na tsama sharongore tinyam de so gom jamni tomba ni knyamle gom jamni drotop sona tanda tamandrawa chi yongore tate komshi mesazina sakangati kapsa pecho chi tanto mar tanga so songorongal katina gom jabdena kikap la tara pecho tanin drotoya ta kashi tsendel tara. I
mean, there's some people or practitioners who are, really able to access this more subtle form of mind. to really, get the airs moving and so forth. But many of us might not be able to actually do it. But nevertheless, as mentioned before, we can train ourselves, kind of imagining doing it. And when it then actually, when we actually die, and then that actually happens, that the air or the wind enters the central channel and the clear light mind manifests and so forth, then we'll be well prepared.
Then the same trading to Sajamba Jabon or Tambaton to Vicabli or is the that Tambanto Vicabla. Then you go with your other chase in a corporate and batching Mombo Cintoria Yomartani, Vicabla, the Danjao Sazanic, Namjunial Geneta County or Nemo Concentrate. Was the Astoja, Tendi Kalachakra. That is what the Yomar songs or Chambanto, Yamashi. Michilingual shooting in German to Chikuna Calicamore. The Yungomaris, and you could Agnamjo, the Ashonda, which you could go. Then didn't it cigarette, then Nengashu Travari.
It's a very important question. And yes, as there are certain occasions that, for example, when someone loses consciousness, that also similar, process happens. But practicing when we are unconscious is rather difficult. Yeah. Or yawning, but that's also. But the dream, during the dream state, these things happen or similar things happen. So dream yoga is probably good practice to do.
Yes. Any try and do.
Does anybody have another question?
Yeah.
Okay, like meditation, some practitioners, they are very emphasized on meditation. But is it possible if you don't study, you only practice meditation, and then you can achieve enlightenment?
Mikashira, so nyamlen kichimore, abdigido. Ani konkitiwa karisena lopchong man chena, nyamlen chikpo chena, jamchuk top sigarbe. You're asking the right person, the Gilo Geshe.
Not so. Lopchaketang Zamuling Lopchayora. The Lobjoni Machini Kamani Chimochina Lekatan, the Chibari, the Leka Cheshi, nothing recorded at the Shimishiltir. Lobjon Machini Yamni Cheshi, Yodan Jukio, Mandriacho Mat, that the Chikaboro. Also Lopchachoni Mandroyachi companies in Hakondo, Leconchimbuchino, Lekatanjo, Cambridge to the Somadini, Tatina, Leka Chesho, as any Leka Chitem, Kitch, Concheshi Mari, the Nindo Kitcher.
Just to give an example, you can imagine someone, a person never going to school or never having gone to school. If that person would be sent to a big company, and someone tells them, you go off and work, you deal with the computers and whatnot, and they have no education whatsoever. It's difficult. So.
Well, Sanjay Nyamli Chiston Gonenga so. So Lobjom and Tindro Reservoir. The Yapo Chakamare or in Mato. The Yapo Chakayon is also Shina and in written teach. Young Guacho Machina.
Yapo Mare, Sigamari.
Shina and Jukiore, then she Kaporwat,
and I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, if someone knows how to go about the practice, then it might turn out, but it's rather difficult. That's what Geshe is saying. Without any studies.
Anila to a town show.
We stop here.
Thank you. The reason was only knowing to use a maro. Jonga in the citizen the check out topic. Jonga, what's it, Jonga? What's it, Jonga?
Salakpa.
How about it? I'll buy them and I came.